ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So here we find Lord Kapila is further explaining about the severe punishment the living entity has to undergo in the hellish conditions of life. So once the living entity is brought to Yamaraj. Yamaraj, he stays in Pitraloka. So from there, Yamaraj judges every living entity based on the different kinds of sinful activities they have performed during their lifetime, and based on what kind of sinful activities they have performed, there are different kinds of hells in which the living entity is sent by Yamaraj to undergo severe punishments through Yamadutas. Bhagavatam explains there are 28 different kinds of hell. Bhagavatam also explains where these hellish planets are situated. It says, just like there are 7 upper planetary systems, there are 7 lower planetary systems. So up to Patala, which is the lowest of the planetary system, below Patala are these different hells which are situated. So just like if we go higher from the earth, Janaloka, Maharloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, that is going high. Like that, if we go down Atala, Patala, like Sutala, so below these lower planetary system are these hellish planet situated. Below the hellish planet is Garbhodaka Sagar. So that means the situation of this hellish planet is between Patala and Garbhodaka ocean. This is where they are situated. So the living entity has to travel to these varieties of different hellish planets based on the different kinds of sinful activities they have performed. So very broad division is given by Srila Shukadeva Goswami in Bhagavatam. He explains very nicely how the living entities are sent to different kinds of hell. What is the reason? So he says there are 3 modes of material nature: Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So we all know very clearly in Bhagavatam it is said urdhvam gachanti sattvasthaha. If we inculcate the modes of goodness, the living entity will be promoted to higher planets, not to the lower planets. Correct? Those who are rajasic madhye tishthanti rajasaha, they will stay back in the middle planetary system. And adho gachanti tamasaha, jaganya, those who are performing sinful activities, they will be sent to the lower planetary systems. So this we have already seen in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna has already explained this in Bhagavad Gita. So Shukadeva Goswami explains that actually this is the criterion for sending the living entities to different kinds of hell. So he says, those who act in the mode of goodness, they are religious and they are happy in this world, and they are promoted for enjoying the higher planetary systems. So, those who are inculcating mode of goodness, they are actually satisfied even in this life, they are happy in this life, and gradually they will be promoted to higher planetary system. Then he says, those who act in passion, they achieve mixed happiness and distress. So higher planetary system you don't find distress, but there is death. Middle planetary system, you will find mixture of happiness and distress. Right? All of us, sometimes you will find some happiness, some distress. And then he says, those who act in ignorance, they are always unhappy and they go down to lower species of life. They go down to lower planets and practically to different kinds of miserable, hellish life. So he says, Shukadeva Goswami says, because of the varying degree of influence of these three modes of material nature, their destinations are also various. So sometimes we act in the mode of goodness, sometimes in passion, sometimes in tamoguna, sometimes in the mix of passion and rajoguna. So based on the different activities we perform, there are varieties of destinations awaiting us. So Shukadeva Goswami gives an example. Just like one achieves varieties of higher destination by doing pious activities. One may go to Satyaloka, one may become Indra, one may become Chandra, one may go even and become Brahma. We say the most pious living entity becomes Brahma. Correct? So there are various destinations according to the degree of pious activities we have performed. So he says similarly, based on the degree of impious activities we have performed, there are varieties of hells where one has to undergo different kinds of punishments. Then he further explains who are the living entities who have to undergo severe punishments? Who are the living entities who have to undergo moderate punishment? And who are the living entities who have to undergo mild punishments? You see, just like the judge has to decide all these things. Even in the material world, we find When the criminal is brought in the court, the judge decides whether he will get moderate punishment, he is going to get severe punishment, maybe severe punishment up to the point that he will be hanged to death. Or let us say, for his next life till he dies, he will be imprisoned. Or it could be few years, 7 years of imprisonment, 10 years of rigorous imprisonment. Right? Or it could be house arrest. He cannot go out of his house. So it could be mild, it could be moderate, it could be severe. So again he gives a broad classification. He says, if the living entity acts in ignorance out of madness means because of whatever, let us say for example, because of our past conditioning, our past karma, one is mad. He cannot distinguish between pious and impious. He cannot understand. Then he get mild punishments. Just like we see even in this material world. For a person who is mad, he will not be put behind the bars. Maybe he will be, scolded and, told, not to do some, but it will be very mild because he cannot discriminate. So one who commits sinful activity out of madness, in ignorance, he is not given very severe punishment. Then Shukdev Goswami explains, one who acts impiously, but he has knowledge that actually I am acting impiously, he does not want to do it. He knows the distinction between pious activity and impious activities, but somehow is forced by the modes of material nature. He undergoes moderate punishment. And then he says, one who acts sinfully, impiously, because of atheism out of ignorance, he is severely punished. So if somebody denies the existence of the Supreme Lord, where is God? Who is God? I don't believe in God. And he acts impiously, he is severely punished. So they are called asuras. So for asuras, there is severe punishment. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I cast them into the lower species of life, and practically, he says, eternally they undergo severe kinds of tribulation only in the lower species of life. This is the result of acting like this. So, in Bhagavatam, just like here we are finding, there are 3 hells are described, very shortly, very briefly it is described. Shukdev Goswami explains all these 28 hells. For what reason one is sent to which hellish life. Just like a citizen is supposed to know that if I commit theft, I will be put behind the bars. If I murder somebody, I will be hanged to death. One should know, one should have this knowledge. Ishopanishad explains this. One should know Vidya and Avidya, both. So that when we know where there is pit, we can avoid that. So that is the reason that these things are explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. One should know how to act, what is karma, what is akarma, and what is vikarma. We should have knowledge about that. In human form of life, we are supposed to know. One cannot say, I am ignorant. Just like you are passing on the road and let us say, you say, I am ignorant of traffic laws. Will the police leave you? They will tell you, you are supposed to know. Just like in India, you have to drive on the left side. In America, you have to drive on the right side. It's different. So you are supposed to know where you have to drive. Otherwise, immediately. Just like when recently I had gone, even sometimes our devotees, of course, they want to save money, but sometimes out of ignorance, they end up paying more money. So he was parking the vehicle. I was telling, don't park here. He said, Prabhu, don't worry, we'll somehow take care. It is, we'll save $5. He said. And then by the time we came back, we went to that matchless gift. By the time we came back from there, on the screen shield there was a bill of $60. Very alert, you can see. In India, it is not like this. Nothing you have to do. And if you don't pay within 1 day, they will give you 4 or 5 days, I think they give you. They will come there, they will take away your vehicle, and then you have to pay there. So you cannot say, I am ignorant. That is not excuse. There is no excuse like that. So here we can see Prabhupada is explaining in this verse how one should conduct his life. So here it is said, men and women whose lives were built upon indulgence in illicit sex are put into many kinds of miserable conditions in the hell known as Tamishra, Andha Tamishra and Raurava. So here Lord Kapila is only giving just broad classification that these are the 3 hells where those living entities who indulge in illicit sex affairs are put into. That is why we find our Vedic culture right from the beginning trains a brahmachari to look at other women as mother. Prabhupada explains this, that even in his childhood, when even sometime his parents would take him to some cinema, Prabhupada says that, this another mother, they would say. Because that was the training in the Vedic culture. Matravat paradareshu. So, you can see so much, clear understanding is there in the Vedic culture. Paradraveshu loshtava. Others' money, no question of touching. Can you imagine? Now people are not like that. Prabhupada gives an example even from his own time that he has personally seen one of his friend's son whose father died insolvent. He was under debt. He had taken loans from many people. His son went to each and every person to pay back his loan. That was the kind of culture. Prabhupada says, even 100 years back, the system was so strong, somebody's purse is lying on the road, no one will touch it. And the government was also so strong. If they find the thief, somebody has stolen, somebody has taken away somebody else's property, immediately his hands are chopped off. No question of waiting in court for 10 years, 20 years. This is how it was done. So, people were aware and government was also very strict. That was the Vedic culture. So, in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining actually that our whole material existence is because of attraction to sex life in this material world. Pumsam striya maituni bhavametat tayo mitho hridaya granthi rahur. Correct? This is how we are knotted in this material world. This material world is also called as imprisonment by sex life. Maithuna agara. One is bound by shackles of attraction to opposite sex. So brahmacharis, we have to have a proper training. That is why it is important. That is why Prabhupada stresses so much. We have to have a balance of this understanding that yes, we are a preaching moment, we have also, but at the same time we have to be very cautious. For a brahmachari, it is very important. There is no question of indulgence at all. He should not contemplate, he should not think about. That should be the kind of training. And one should understand, Vedic literatures are telling very clearly. Even with one's own mother, one should not sit privately. Senses are very, very strong. So this is not only for the brahmacharis, even for the grahasthas. Grahasthas should not think, I am safe. Senses are very strong. So one should not sit with opposite sex privately at all. Vedic literatures are saying, Vidwan api karshati. Even one may be very learned, even then he may get agitated. Examples are there. Brahma. In Bhagavatam itself, the example is given. He had to give up finally that kind of body, that kind of mentality. So, that is the meaning of practice of brahmacharya. Sarvatha, in all circumstances, one has to avoid contemplating, thinking and acting on that platform. So Prabhupada is saying this here. Materialistic life is based on sex life. Existence of all materialistic people who are undergoing severe tribulation in the struggle for existence is based on sex. Therefore, in the Vedic civilization, sex life is allowed only in restricted way. It is for the married couple and for begetting children. So, Prabhupada gave this open diktat to his disciples. He said clearly, don't be vyabhichari, don't be mithyachari. Be a brahmachari. Isn't it? Not that we wear the dress because of some reason, because sometimes we have this, people don't respect with white dress, people have. But should we exploit that? We wear that and in our heart it is filled with garbage and we are doing all kinds of nonsense. And still you are thinking people will respect. People will lose respect rather. So it is more better that if one cannot, if one thinks that it is difficult, then better he should get married. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. It is for the married couple and only for begetting children. But when sex life is indulged for sense gratification illegally, illicitly, both women and men await severe punishment in this world and after death. So in this world also, varieties of diseases, horrible diseases one has to undergo. Or sometimes because of that one has to commit such a sinful activity like abortion. Because illicitly somebody is doing, he does not want a child, he only wants to enjoy. isn't it? Then he has to abort, take away the life of another creature. So in this life also he will suffer, and severe punishments awaits such people. And in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is explaining, Arjuna is telling this in the first chapter itself. Strishu dushtashu varshneya jayate varna shankaraha. Isn't it? Women, when they are polluted by men, then only varna shankara will be the result. So that's why he was worrying that if all elderly people are vanquished, who is going to give protection to the women? And if there is no protection for women, they will be polluted by men, lusty men. And then if that happens, then Varna Shankara will be the result. And everything becomes hellish, Arjuna says. And then he says, even for those who are responsible for killing these people, for them also it awaits hell. Because they created this situation. So Prabhupada is quoting that actually it is true. Hellish life awaits them. So, just in 5 minutes I will read, maybe when some other time we get, then we will discuss more details. So these three hells are described by Shukadeva Goswami. He says, Yaha paravitta, one who takes away others' money. You see? So even money, we have to be very cautious. Devotees and even grahasthas should be very cautious not to take anyone's money. Anyone's money, if you take without it belonging to you, we await severe punishment in the hellish life. That is why that is how it was taught. Others' money should be like garbage. You see, that is how it was. Yaha paravitta apatya. Apatya means children. Kalatrani or wife. Apaharati, one who takes away. Anyone who takes away others' money, children or wife. Saha kalapasha baddaha. He is immediately arrested with kalapasha, the ropes of Yamraj. Another name of Yamraj is Kala. And then what happens? Yama purushaihi ati bhayanakaihi tamishra narake balat nipatyate. And then the Yamadutas, they carry him forcibly, and balat means with force. He is thrown into Tamishra Narake, in the Naraka called Tamishra. And then he says, Tamishra Praye, in this very dark hell, that sinful man is severely chastised. Anashana, he is starved. Anudpana, he is made to live there without water. Dandatadana, beaten with rods. Santrajanadibihi, he is scolded left and right. Yatanabihi, severe punishments are given. Ekada murcham, sometimes so severe punishment is given, he loses his consciousness. He becomes unconscious. So that is how it is described. So I'll just read these three hells description given by Shukadeva Goswami. My dear king, he is explaining this to Parikshit Maharaj. A person who appropriates another's legitimate wife, children or money is arrested at the time of death by fierce Yamadutas who bind him with rope of time, forcibly throw him into hellish planet known as Tamishra. On this very dark planet, the sinful man is chastised by Yamadutas who beat him and rebuke him. He is starved and he is given no water to drink. Thus the wrathful assistant of Yamaraj causes him severe suffering. Sometimes he faints from their chastisement. The next describes Andha Tamishra. This is Tamishra. Little severe it was. Andha Tamishra is more severe. Destination of a person who slyly cheats another man and enjoys his wife and children is the hell known as Andha Tamishra. There his condition is exactly like that of a tree being chopped at its root. Even before reaching Andha Tamishra, the sinful living entity is subjected to various extreme miseries. These afflictions are so severe that he loses his intelligence and sight. It is for this reason that learned sages call this hell as Andha Tamishra. So this is called as Andha Tamishra. And then he describes Raurava. A person who accepts his body as his self, works very hard day and night for money to maintain his own body and the bodies of his wife and children. While working to maintain himself and his family, he commits violence against other living entities. Such a person is forced to give up his body and his family at the time of death, when he suffers the reaction for his envy of other creatures by being thrown into the hell known as Raurava. And he explains further, there are living entities called Roruru, and they bite him like anything in that planet, and he suffers constant agony in this Raurava planet. So you can imagine actually how important this human form of life is, to cultivate the mode of goodness, and gradually somehow or other we should understand that actually otherwise this material world there is no so-called happiness. So devotees are not in the understanding or idea of thinking that he is going to enjoy this material world, isn't it? And utilizes his time, his energy, so that one can advance in spiritual life and one can get out of this horrible, miserable condition of life. So we'll stop with this Granth Raj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.